Welcome to the Maria Sanchez Show on KCAL-TV.com. Thank you so much for your eyes. We appreciate it. And if you've got us minimized there while you're at work, we appreciate that too because you can hear us. We've got in studio Amy Johnson, who is the Ventura County Bureau anchor for KCBS reporter, KCBS and KCAL-9. And Amy, thank you so much for taking the time because I know you've been doing this all day, and here you are at the end of your day, and you're gracing us with your presence, and we want to thank you for that.
Sure.
So welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Now, why I thought this would be of interest and of value is we get to see your lovely face, and we get to hear what it is that you're reporting about in our county, and that's what we're all about Ventura County, by Ventura County, for Ventura County. I don't think anybody really knows what goes into your casts, and also the pressure that you're under, because you're thinking on your feet, you get your assignment, you drive to the story, you roll the tape, then you've got to figure out what it is that you're going to say before, after, edit, all that stuff. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to let the viewers know just what goes into a newscast, or what would you call it? A piece, a segment.
Yes, my story.
Okay.
So the stories are typically a minute and a half, so it's not very long, but it can take all day to get that minute and a half, just depending on who you're trying to talk to, where you have to go, just trying to get it set up. Sometimes things change in the middle of the day. A new story can happen. You can go to breaking news after working all day on one story, and then right before it airs, a fire breaks out. And so it all changes. It can just be turned upside down.
So tell our viewers a typical day for you. What would that be like? And I know that you're used to looking at a camera, even though you're not used to being interviewed, because as Amy pointed out prior to our gathering, she's used to asking the questions, not being asked questions. So it's a little bit of a role play adjustment here.
A little role reversal.
Yes.
And I'd have to say, there is no actual normal day or average day for what I do. There are days that start out to be what you think is going to be an average day, and then it changes. You think you're going to be interviewing someone, they tell you that they will be meeting with you, that they're willing to talk to you, and then at the last minute when you've driven across the county to meet with them, they've changed their mind for whatever reason. So you never really know, and because of breaking news, and we are typically on live, nothing is typical. But usually how I start my day is I start looking to see what has happened in the county overnight. I read news releases from police stations, sheriff's departments, check different websites. I read the newspapers. I listen to the radio. I try to find out everything that I can that's happened. And then I make suggestions, because I am in a bureau and not at the station. I make suggestions of things that have happened in the county and what I think we should cover that day. And then my station meets and they discuss everything that's happening and that all the stories that will be covered in the course of the day. And they decide which story in Ventura County fits best in our day. And then we go from there.
So give us a time frame. Like I know you've got little ones too, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
So Amy's a wife and mother too. Your husband is in the armed forces?
In the military, yes.
Yes. So thank you for that, because I know it's a sacrifice for you specifically. And you get up at, and the kids
I usually, if my children, they're 3.5 and 5, sleep till 6:30, then that's when I like to start my day. Usually it's anywhere between 5:30 and 6 they wake up, and I try to get them going for the day, and then I start my preparation as far as doing all of my research in the midst of them, trying to get them where they need to go, along with my husband out the door to work, and then I can really concentrate on what I'm doing for the day.
And because you're part of a bureau, is the bureau located in Ventura County?
We don't actually have an office. My photographer that I typically work with lives in Simi Valley. I live in Camarillo, and so we meet depending on where we're going to be covering the story.
But having been the subject of a story of yours when I was employed with the American Red Cross, you have a van that says KCBS and KCAL-9. So does he take that home? Or
he does.
Okay.
He does.
So then you guys meet, and he picks you up, and then you go, at that point where you're going.
Usually we have a plan. We're heading somewhere, but sometimes we're diverted to a different location if something happens, because in our van we have a scanner, so we can hear the police, we can hear ambulance, fire. So oftentimes we'll be heading somewhere, and then a fire breaks out, or there's a huge accident, or a plane in distress, you never know, and then we head that way instead.
And so you get your story assignment at what time?
Usually by about 9 or 9:30.
Okay.
And then I can be on the air as early as 11 or 12. So it can be quick.
And how many stories do you file a day in general?
Usually 1 or 2.
Okay. And you mentioned that they're 90 seconds long.
Typically, yes.
And you said those 90 seconds are live?
What we do is I put a story together, and then I am live at the beginning of the story to introduce the story, and then we play the tape, and then I'm live again at the end.
Okay. So having done news in radio, our casts were constrained too, and our sound had to be X amount of seconds, and there's a formula there. So I'm assuming, based on what you're telling me, that that's similar with television?
There is, but we have a couple of different versions of how we can do a story. I could be live throughout, reading something that I've written, a script that I've written, and then maybe I would toss to what we call a sound bite, an interview that I've done with someone. We would roll that, but everything else I was saying was live. Sometimes it's breaking news, and I will interview someone live on television and just do everything live.
So since you are about Ventura County, by Ventura County, for Ventura County, which is what we're all about, your stories are obviously within this county constraints.
Yes.
Now,
typically.
No, you said typically.
Typically.
So
We do also go to Santa Barbara, and there are times when something big enough happens that it takes us over the county line towards LA, or if there's a fire, especially Santa Clarita, we might go to.
Okay.
Or, yeah, we aren't limited to just Ventura County, but we do try to spend most of our days in Ventura County.
One of the questions that I want to get into in our next segment, so I'll just let you know, so you have a little bit of prep, is what is it that brought you to our community? And then I also would love our listeners, viewers, to know what it is that prepared you for this moment in time. How did you get here? What was your education, your background, your experience? Also, in terms of you being a working mother and having little ones, that's, and there you are on camera. In my radio days, I used to always come to the studios dressed professionally because that's how I comport myself, if you will. And people would say, it's radio, ball caps, jeans, whatever. And I was like, no, this is how I feel professional.
Exactly.
But the truth is, I could have no makeup on, I could have my hair in a ponytail, whatever. Yes. You can't. You got to be camera ready. Yes. And so if you've been up all night because your baby's teething or colicky or has the flu or the fever, and then you still, how do you do that?
A lot of makeup, a lot of concealer on those sleepless nights, definitely. And there are times when I think I'm dressed professionally, and then right on my thigh, someone has wiped their face. So sometimes, I keep baby wipes with me in my bag, in the van, and obviously I use them originally for
what they were intended.
Exactly, changing diapers. Now I keep them for me to wipe off things, to wipe off my hands. If there was a spill, you never know what you might have to wipe off.
It used to be the shoulders from the burping.
Yes, but when they get to about 3, they just wipe their hands and their face on you.
Now, do you want to share some contact information with our viewers, either an email or web address? Sure, arjohnson@cbs.com. You can always email us stories, suggestions, news releases if you have them. A lot of times I think people think because it is LA, we just want the hard breaking news stories, but we really like to tell stories about people, things that are happening in the community. And a lot of times people think, oh, my story's not big enough, it's not important enough, I wouldn't bother them. Send it. I'm really glad that you mentioned that because the adage is, if it bleeds, it leads. And that's what we're doing here on KCAL-TV, is that we're trying to celebrate the inspirational, the folks that have overcome adversity, the leaders that got their roots here and then went elsewhere to become people that we know that are famous or whatever. And to hear that a commercial entity also strives for that is actually quite refreshing.
Yeah. People want to hear about people.
Right.
The people's story.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why you're here. We get to hear about you. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we've got Amy Johnson. She's a Ventura County Bureau reporter. She is with KCBS KCAL-9, and she's right here in Ventura County, which is what we're all about. And we thank you so much for watching, and we will be right back.
Hi, I'm Audrey Johnson. Be safe, be legal. Handsfree805.com. I am so delightful to be here in the studio of KCAL-TV.com. We're here to share with you and to educate with you what Hands-Free 805 is all about. You could send a text. You could read your email. You could make a phone call. Just this, your voice. Handsfree805.com is the latest, hottest technology that I've experienced a long time, especially coming from South America and being here in America with the latest technology. So please give us a call, 805-754-2063. Be safe, be legal.
Hi, this is Peter Godinez from KCAL-TV.com. I'm here to announce a new show that we're all excited about here called Meet the Boss. Now this is about all your friends and neighbors who own businesses and being able to support them in their causes and helping them stay healthy. So save this program in your favorites, make sure you spread it out to your friends, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all here in Ventura County.
Welcome back to the Maria Sanchez Show right here on KCAL-TV.com, about Ventura County, by Ventura County, for Ventura County, and we're so grateful for your eyes and your ears. And we have in studio Amy Johnson. She is the Ventura County Bureau reporter, KCBS KCAL-9, and she is assigned specifically to Ventura County. Okay. And for that, we are very appreciative. And it's kind of nice to know that the folks in Los Angeles actually care about us.
They do. They do. It really is something that we don't take lightly.
Yeah, so thank you for that. In our last segment, we spoke a little bit about what a day is like for Amy. Mm-hmm. And then if you could give us a little bit about your background. Did you know that this is what you always wanted to do? How is it that you came to Ventura County? How is it that you got into news?
I always wanted to do this as a little girl. News was very important to my family. My father always watched the news, and he would tell me as a little girl, you know, that the person on TV is telling us all the important things that are happening in our community. So I wanted to do that as well, but I thought it would be too hard, and so I went off to college and decided to be a high school English teacher and coach volleyball because I played volleyball in college. And in my last semester of school, I got asked to help out with the school newspaper because they were short-staffed, and so I wrote my first article. And when the paper came out, it just triggered that passion for me that I wanted to do news. And so I went back to school, started studying broadcast communication, and before I could finish a second degree, I got my first job in Coos Bay, Oregon, little Coos Bay, Oregon. And I worked there for a couple of years. Then from Coos Bay, I went to Columbia, South Carolina. From Columbia, South Carolina, I went to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and then to Boston, where I thought I would stay. And I met my husband while working there, and he was in the military, and he needed to leave. And so I came here. I gave up what I thought was the end of my career, and I came to Ventura County and stayed home with the baby for about 6 months, and then got a call from the station and went and interviewed and thought I'd work a couple days a week as I got my feet back into it, and turned into a full-time job. And I was going into LA, doing stories in LA, and every day I would think, wow, there was really a great story back in Ventura County that I could be covering instead of this story, or something very similar in Ventura County as this story. So I kept suggesting maybe we could try it again. They had done it in the past. And I said, maybe we could try this Ventura County Bureau again. And so they said, let's try it. We did, and it's been over 3 years.
So I'm curious, though, what it is. You came to Ventura County because your husband would have proximity to the base?
He was stationed at Point Mugu.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times people stumble on Ventura County because we used to be that bump in the road between
Yes.
Los Angeles and Santa Barbara, or Los Angeles and San Francisco. Those of us here in the county know that we are the hidden jewel. And
Yes.
sometimes it's like, you know,
Yes.
but people have discovered, well, they put a satellite office because they're on the west side, and then they're also here, and then they end up spending more time here because they end up moving here because of the schools and the climate.
Yes.
And I always refer to Ventura County as Mayberry.
Yes.
And I just find that there's more of a sense of community than I've experienced even though we are cosmopolitan, yes, we are agriculture and agrarian, but we have the theater. One of our guests was the Cabrillo Music Theater. We've got state-of-the-art things here, so you don't really have to go anywhere unless you want to go.
Exactly.
So I'm glad to hear that the news has, because obviously we've got, just under 1 million, I think, in our county. So that's a lot of lives, and it's a lot of stories, and it's a lot of living that occurs.
Exactly.
And so yay for us that you're, that you're here. Now, have you seen a change in the business of news from when you were a cub reporter?
Yes, drastically. It's changed a lot. The stories have changed. Things have gotten shorter as far as I think we cover more, so we have shorter amount of time to turn a story, and then our stories themselves are shorter. We don't do the long pieces. We don't get to do a lot of the long, extensive digging and doing the investigative reporting. We don't have that much time. We put on a lot of news. Our stations have the most local news in LA with, I think, 12 and a half, 13 hours of news every day because of the two stations. So we turn a lot of stories in the course of the day.
And then in terms of how the medium, I know I don't want you to speak badly or poorly about your industry, but there is ageism in general involved because it's in front of the camera. Radio is exempt in that regard because it's all about your voice. And in fact, maturity helps sometimes with radio because it informs your opinions. You're not just some like, well, I don't know because I've never had children and I didn't, you should put them to bed and they get up at 7 and, whatever. It's like, yeah, right. I don't know what world you're living in. It's not. But have you had any challenges that you can comfortably share?
No, I think that really the LA market has been really a pretty good example of, I think that we do have some people on the air in LA that aren't just the little young, cute, pretty faces. We have people that have been in the business for a long time that really know what they're doing and really are credible and accurate in their reporting. So it's good to see that people are open to both male and female anchors and reporters.
So can you give us like what today was like for you?
Today I was camped outside of a home waiting and hoping to speak to the mother of Steven Slater, who was the flight attendant with JetBlue. And I got to meet her, speak with her about her son's experience, and really just trying to localize the story. A lot of people heard about what happened in New York, where he, had a little altercation with the passenger on board, grabbed a couple beers, slid down the emergency exit slide, and we got a chance to localize the story by talking to his mother. And she, in fact, was a flight attendant many years ago, but just talking to her about what she thought about what her son did.
Oh, so that's nice.
Yeah, so she's very proud of him, very proud of his actions, and feels that, she's happy with the support. And he's getting a lot of support from a lot of people.
So you said camping out. That means from what time to what time?
We probably got there around 10-ish. And didn't think she'd talk. She's been sick, but she came out. A lot of people think the media is bad and we go and we harass people. We sat very nicely outside, and I can say that for myself and all the other reporters that were there. We sat there. We did not bother her. She did come outside and she spoke with us.
So you don't knock on the door and say, may we have a moment or a comment?
We usually will get together and say it so that we don't keep knocking on her door.
I see. So you actually work collaboratively with your colleagues that are competitors?
At times, yes, we do.
Okay.
At times. For something like this is a woman who's going through chemotherapy, and we spoke with the neighbor who's very close with her, and the neighbor actually talked to her for us to find out if she would be willing to talk to us.
So she then was in front of a bunch of your mics answering questions? Okay. Then you set up the story for the viewers to say, today, here we are.
This is what happened, correct. But perfect example, I had put a story together thinking we wouldn't get her. And so I put the story with a lot of elements from New York and telling the story without her. And then right before 2 o'clock, she came out and talked to us, and my story was airing at 2:30. So I then had to change everything that I had put together, and she became the story, and so it all changed.
So you were there from 10 to 2. You had something prepared to go live with at 2:30.
Correct.
New information came available.
Yes.
And you still went live at 2:30.
Correct.
With the new information.
With the new story.
Holy heck. That's a lot of flying by the seat of your pants.
It is. It is. But I love it. I love what I do. I love what I do. It's a challenge. Every day is a challenge. I never know what I'm going to do. You never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to talk to. You might think you know who you're going to meet that day, and then it all changes.
Now, in terms of folks who may be watching and thinking, I want to be an Amy Johnson, what kind of advice can you share?
Education. Go to school, get your education, broadcast communications, journalism, and internships are key. Get your foot in there, get into a newsroom, really get the feel of what it is, because sometimes you think you might want to do it, but really when you get in there, it's not what you expect. It's not the glamour. You see people on TV and you think, oh, that's a glamorous job. No.
I did that. I went, and it was KABC, gosh, almost 20 years ago, and I thought, and this woman said she would mentor me, and I went in, and everybody was in front of volcanic eruptions and floods, and the hair's flying all over, and they're in the whatevers, and I'm thinking, no.
No.
And it's not like I need to be glamorous, gosh knows, but it's like, no, I would like a little more controlled environment, which is why radios has that immediacy with no second take and no safety net, but still you're going to be on the air from X to X or something. But that's what we love about this opportunity with KDTV is that we get to respond to the needs of the community. When there's something big going on, we get to go there too, but then we get to have the in-studio luxury of having guests such as yourself.
Yeah, it's a controlled environment.
Yes, exactly.
That we don't always get out in the field.
So again, contact information for you, for folks who may want to share stories, especially and that's what we look for too on KD, is that, tell us about your struggles, tell us about something that's going on in the neighborhood, tell us about the good news.
Exactly. There are a lot of extraordinary people in this county that have done amazing things, that have worked, lifetime at a certain career. We did a wonderful story about a barber who worked so many years and he finally retired. Those are the stories that people want to hear.
Yay.
It's nice.
And your email address?
arjohnson@cbs.com.
Perfect. So Amy Johnson, again, Ventura County Bureau reporter. KCBS, KCAL-9, our in-studio guests. Thank you so much for watching the Maria Sanchez Show on KDTV.com. We really appreciate your time.